Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to do something. Yes, I realize it's after Father's Day, but this is something that I made for my husband for Father's Day. And what I'm doing first is I got the letters for our last name, and I am just mixing a little bit of my gloss varnish in with some burgundy mica powder. Now, I want to kind of paint the letters, but essentially it's more like almost staining them minus the stain, because I didn't want that heavy, you know, acrylic paint look to it. I wanted it a little bit differently, and this way it kind of still shows the grains of the wood and that kind of stuff, so it's a little different than painting, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go over these letters probably about 3-ish times just to get the depth of the color that I want. And I'm making sure that I am kind of going everywhere. Now, what this piece is going to be is we were in Michael's about a month and a half or so ago, and he had seen, like the little wooden, they're kind of country looking. That's like 3 boards or whatever that are put together for like a wall hanging, whatever. Anyway, it seemed something like that and was like, oh, that would be really cool with our last name on it. So I kind of went along the lines of that idea, but kicked it up several notches. So I did go and I got something very similar but different, because what I want to do is I don't want to just put our last name in it. I thought it would be really cool if I had pictures of him and I, pictures of our children when they're smaller, when they're a little bit older, and now grown up, the ones that aren't still at home, grown up with their kids in there. So it's, 3 generations worth of reads in this kind of collage type deal. So I thought that would be really, really neat. And I'm going to kind of take you through the journey of how I did it. Now, he is like super into pictures, mainly because he doesn't really have any. Like, I think I've only seen maybe 10 pictures of him younger than a teenager, and that's it. Like, I don't even know what he looks like or what he looked like when he was a baby. And so it's super, super important to him. So I thought that this would be kind of a neat kind of homage to him on and what he really likes, and I think it just would be really cool. So that's what I'm doing now. For the letters, I'm making sure I'm going over, trying to avoid any brush strokes in it and getting the sides done as well. So I decided that I want to, kick these up a little bit. So I'm going to take the mosaic shells that I have, and these are kind of in a neutral color, and I'm just taking some of my diamond glaze and putting it just on part of the letter. And this is just to add a little bit of interest to it, just to make it so it's not so flat looking. It's going to give it some dimension and just make it look really cool. So that's what I'm going to do. And these colors work best. So as I place these on, I'm just going to kind of sort of build it up a little bit so they're not completely flat, and then add in a little bit more of the diamond glaze as I need it where it's built up, just to make sure that I don't have an issue with any of them falling off later. Now, as I kind of go through this part, I'm just going to put some music on in the background. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I will actually, before I do, a lot of the music that I'm using, Tracy from Mini Scenes GB, I kind of was telling a group of us about a website that she uses that does AI generated music, and that's kind of what I've been doing over the last few videos, and you guys seem to really like it. So what I'm going to do is, for whatever songs that I do, I'm going to put the link to the song at the very bottom of the description list so that you guys can access it if you like it, because a lot of you are asking me where I'm getting it from. This way you guys have access to it, because I don't think that there's any way that I can regenerate the song again. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna bounce off and I will be back for the next step.
Grandpa's laughter still echo in the quiet of the night. My mom's hugs binding hearts so tight. Dad's voice strong, guiding way. Love's the thread in us reborn through each dawn and every day. Generations hold us high, love that never says goodbye, passing down through every time. Families bond a sacred rhyme. Sisters smile like morning sun, brothers strength a steady beat. In this circle we belong, roots so deep and arms to greet. In the joy and in the pain, love's the constant rain or shine. Every face a cherished name, hand in hand through every climb. Generations hold us high, love that never says goodbye, passing down through every time. Families bond a sacred rhyme. Sisters smile like morning sun, brother never says goodbye, passing down through every time. Families bond a sacred rhyme. Sisters smile like morning sun, brother strength a steady beat. In this circle we belong, roots so deep and arms to greet. In the joy and in the pain, love's the constant rain or shine. Every face a cherished name, hand in hand through every climb. Generations hold us high, love that never says goodbye, passing down through every time. Families bond a sacred rhyme.
Okay, I'm back. So I did this the stupidest way possible. I took this thing and I drilled a hole in it with my tiny little jewelry hand drill, which took 102 years to get done, and it was just stupid and hard. And yes, I know you're like, well, why didn't you use a real drill? And I am not versed well in power tools without my husband's supervision, just mainly because I just don't really know what I'm doing yet. And I didn't want him involved in this whatsoever, so I just did it the hard way. So now I'm just taking my ISTOYO UV resin and I'm just kind of gluing these down wherever I feel I need to. And I am also putting a little bit of the resin around that hole so that when I pour resin into this, I don't have to worry about it leaking out of the hole, which is smart, right? Yeah, that part's smart. Um, but you know, I do a me thing, and you'll see here in a little bit. But what I want to do first is you have to seal the wood so that you don't get a bunch of micro bubbles and stuff coming out of it. So I thought that because of the size of this, and since I'm going to put resin on it anyway, I decided that I'm just going to mix up a little bit of Let's Resin's Fast Cure resin, and I mean a little bit. Like, I just want to cover it. And I'm doing it super, super thin because this way it's going to seal it. It's going to be that barrier between the wood and the resin that I'm going to pour on top of it. And I won't have to worry about bubbles. And there's no real depth to this layer. So even if bubbles were, say, to come out, I'm not going to have to worry about it because it's so, so thin that it's not going to make a difference. I just felt that this was better than trying to use anything else to seal it with. And I will get that sheen there. Now, in part, it was also for the lights to kind of help kind of make sure that those are in place right now and I don't have to worry about it. And then I also thought that if I put this down now with just a little bit, you know how sometimes when you are doing something with wood and they put it together, and the resin, if you don't seal like the connecting pieces around it, the resin will leak out the sides. I figured that it would be enough to kind of keep that from happening as well. Okay, so back to what I'm doing now is I've selected a bunch of pictures, and I don't want them to look like, just rectangular pictures. So I decided that I'm gonna kind of cut them out either around the person in it, or for this, there's a couple that I actually have like cookie cutters that I'm gonna use the shape for, that are small enough that I can get in there and it doesn't look dumb. And we're just gonna kind of place these on here. I'm not going to take you through the whole process of me cutting them because it took me a hot minute to do. And you just, I mean, you're seeing one. It's kind of what I did for the majority of them. There's no reason to make you go through the whole thing. But I know that once I place them, you're going to be like, all right, but why? Like, you have so much more space. You can put in so many more pictures. And the reason why I'm leaving the empty spaces, my family is pretty young, right? Like, my kids are just getting to the age, my oldest kids, to where they're having babies of their own. And I want to be able to continue to grow on this and add more pictures. So as long as I do the resin super thin and leave enough spaces in between, I can add more in years to come when, say, my youngest two get old enough and have kids. Do you know what I mean? So there'll be spaces that I can just add on to this and make it more of a collage, if you kind of get what I'm going with. All right, now to seal these pictures, when I first started doing resin, I was terrified. I mean, absolutely terrified of doing pictures in resin because, you don't seal them properly, they can leak, or they can, whatever, all kinds of stupid stuff can happen. And for those of you who are maybe newer to resin and the thought of dealing with pictures kind of terrifies you, this is really an easy way to do it. And all I'm doing is I've got my base layer down. Now I'm putting the pictures where I want. I'm taking Mod Podge and I'm using the dishwasher one, the dishwasher safe one, just because it's what I have available. I mean, I have another jar, but this is smaller and it's easier to deal with. So this is what I'm going to use. And I'm going over the back of these with the Mod Podge, which is going to act in two things. It's going to A, it's going to seal it, and B, it's going to glue it in place so I don't have to worry about it floating, bubbles, none of that. It's going to be exactly where I want it. And then I'm going to go over the picture itself with the Mod Podge like twice, right? And when I'm doing the layers, I'm doing it enough to where I get a decent coating, not super light, but you don't want super heavy either. This way I can avoid brush strokes and stuff like that. So you'll see, I may be going over it a lot or doing it the brushstroke in one way or another, and that's just to kind of make the brushstrokes go away. But you do want to make sure that you seal those edges of the pictures as well, really well. So go over it onto whatever it is that you're gluing it onto, and then you're not going to have an issue. I had zero issues with any of these pictures, like anything happening to them. However, I do recommend that if you are going to cut your picture, don't seal it first and then cut it, because you're exposing those edges again. Cut it first and then do the sealing. This way, all of the edges around the pictures, you are sealing them shut, and you don't have to worry about it seeping into that area that you cut, if that makes sense. All right, so I just placed each one of these where I wanted them to go, went over them all one time, front and back, and now I'm going over a second time with them. Then I'm going to leave it to dry, and because it's not like a super crazy, thick coat, usually my Podge dries within 20 minutes. Now, this is great because it does dry clear, and you can get them with its either it can be a matte finish, it can be a glossy finish. It's just all in whatever you're looking for that particular project, and also which one you pick up. You know, for this, it doesn't necessarily matter because I'm putting resin over it. So even if it was a matte, it would still come out glossy in the end. Now, I don't want these hard edges showing for where I cut the pictures. So all I did was I took a little bit, it's like a dark, like a wine color glitter, and I mixed in some of my gloss varnish, and I'm just going to go around each one of these pictures with the glitter varnish combination, and that's just going to kind of get rid of that hard cut line and make it blend a little bit more, make it stand out, and just finish it off nicer than just leaving a raw edge of a cut picture. So that's what I'm going to do to each one of these. And I'm going to bounce off here again while I do this, and then we're going to come back for the next
In a
step.
cozy home where laughter rings, loves the music that we all sing. Children's giggles, their eyes so bright, they light the world, they shine so light. Grandma's stories of days gone by dance in the air like stars in the sky. Grandpa's wisdom, a guiding light, keeps our hearts warm every night. Family ties, they bind us so. In love and joy, together we grow. Through the ages, hand in hand, we build our dreams on this loving land. A mother's embrace, so gentle and kind, like an old jazz tune that eases the mind. A father's strength, steady and strong, through all life's trials, keeps us along. Whoa, through the years as time dashes by, we hold on to moments that make us fly. With children's dreams and grandkids' cheer, our family's love remains sincere. With each generation, our days grow deep. In the garden of love, their promises keep. No matter the storm, no matter the strife, families are anchored through the voyage of life. Family ties, they bind us so. In love and joy, together we grow. Through the ages, hand in hand, we build our dreams on this loving land. A mother's embrace, so gentle and kind, like an old jazz tune that eases the mind. A father's strength, steady and strong, through all life's trials, keeps us along. In a cozy home where laughter rings, loves the music that we all sing. Children's giggles, their eyes so bright, they light the world, they shine so light. Grandma's stories of days gone by dance in the air like stars in the sky. Grandpa's wisdom, a guiding light, keeps our hearts warm every night. Family ties, they bind us.
Alright, I'm back. So I decided that since I still had some left over, I wanted to incorporate it into the letters as well, just to make them, stand out a little bit more, just to give them a little edge of that color and tie everything together. And I gotta add my sparkle in somewhere, even though it is for my husband and he detests glitter, but it's fine. He'll get over it. It'll be fine. But anyway, I thought it would make it look really pretty, so that's what I'm going to do to each one of these. And then we're just going to set that off to the side and let it dry while we put our last layer of resin down. Now, for this, I am going to add just a tiny bit of this Pearl White by Rolio, and it just adds a super sparkle into it. I don't want to do too much because I don't want to set it, like, if you do too much, it overpowers it, and I don't want to have an issue with, say, it, like, falling and getting stuck over somebody's face, and you know what I mean? So just a little bit, just to add a little bit of something to it. And then we're just going to go over the whole thing, cover everything up, seal it all in, and then that's it. Now, you saw I did put a little piece of tape over that hole, and that was just in case I didn't get enough of the UV resin in there to kind of, seal it completely. I don't want it leaking out all over the place. Now, for this layer, I am using Let's Resin epoxy resin. I'm not using the Fast Cure. I want to make sure that if there are any bubbles in here because I didn't completely cover up the wires like with that last one, and I don't want any air bubbles like at all. I mean, Let's Resin, let's be real, is amazing for no bubbles, at least in my experience with them anyway. So I'm not super worried about it, but I figure a slower curing resin will be fine. This way it has the time for those bubbles to degas and just go away, and I don't have to worry about anything. So all I'm doing is I'm going to smooth it all over this piece, make sure every bit is covered and every picture is covered and I don't have any issues with, it just not flowing anywhere. And then go over it with the heat gun just to double check and make sure that there's no bubbles from me moving it around and whatever, and then let this cure. Now, here is what happened. Remember how earlier in the video when I was putting that first coat on, I thought that it would be enough for the connecting parts from the bottom part of this board and like the actual frame around it, and I wouldn't have to worry about anything leaking out. Um, I couldn't have been more wrong. And honestly, at this point, I didn't even think about it. What I should have done, and I know this because it's happened to me many times before where it leaks out, is I should have gone along the edges either with UV resin and make sure that there's a good seal on it or some kind of glue or something, but I didn't. And are you ready for it? That's what happened. It leaked out. Now, here's the thing. Um, I had it halfway hanging off of my drying rack because of how I had the light hooked onto it and it was making it uneven. So thank God that that part where it leaked was opposite of the side of where it was hanging, because right underneath where I have my drying area is my printer. And it could have very easily leaked resin all over my printer, all over the floor, all over everything, and that would have been horrible. Okay, back to what we're doing. So I've placed the letters how I want them to go. I thought these little flowers in between just kind of added a little bit of something to it. And now I'm just going to take my hot glue gun and I am going to glue these letters in place, glue the flowers in place, and that is pretty much it. Job done on this. Now, I love how it turned out. He loved it. He was super, super happy with it. It does give me a lot of space that I can build up on these pictures and add more grandchildren and just other pictures that I decide in the future, which is awesome. I guess the flowers may have to go at that time, but that is a problem for future me, not present me, so she can deal with that when that time comes. One last note for anyone that may be interested, and I don't really do this often. I just opened a new eBay store and I'm going to be listing. I have a few things up there already, but I will be listing most of my demos and just stuff that I'm doing that I isn't for a particular person and I need to get out of my house because it's being overrun. So the link for that is in the description below. It will be growing and evolving. Like I said, I only have a handful of things listed on there as of now. But if anyone is interested, it's there in the description box. And that's a wrap on this one, guys. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I will catch you guys on Tuesday in the next one. Love ya. Bye.
Children's giggles, their eyes so bright. They light the world, they shine so light. Grandma's stories of days gone by dance in the air like stars in the sky. Grandpa's wisdom, a guiding light, keeps our hearts warm every night. Family ties, they bind us so. In love and joy, together we grow. Through the ages, hand in hand, we build our dreams on this loving land. A mother's embrace, so gentle and kind, like an old jazz tune that eases the mind. A father's strength, steady and strong, through all life's trials, keeps us along. Whoa, through the years memories as time dashes by. We hold on to moments that make us fly, with children's dreams and grandkids cheer. Our family's love remains sincere. With each generation, our days grow deep. In the garden of love, their promises keep. No matter the storm, no matter the strife, families are anchored through the voyage of life.